Doug Coleman.
Hi Margie, good to see you.
You too. This is a very unusual interview for me with Rotary News Network because this is the first interview that I am behind camera. You have asked me to do so and I have agreed.
I think you should be.
Thank you very much. My guest today is Doug Coleman, community activist, a friend and fellow Rotarian, and fellow classmate from Leadership Jacksonville, class of 2013. That is where we first met. I'm delighted to have these few minutes with Doug in his magnificent, what year is this house?
1924.
1924 home on St. John's Avenue in Riverside. Absolutely exquisite. The air is filled with the remains of last night's fire, and in one of his 3 beautiful wood-burning fireplaces. And his dogs are here, and his life surrounds us, and I'm going to turn the camera over to Doug for some wisdom and stories. Doug, you have been the leader and the catalyst behind many projects in Jacksonville that are iconic to this town. I could name them, but I think the first one, if I'm correct, was the Jacksonville Ski Club. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. I was co-founder of the Jacksonville Ski Club in 1969. And skiing was a big part of my life, part of my business, and in fact, my travel industry career evolved into being a ski tour operator on a nationwide level. And it was very good for me financially, and it was a lot of fun doing it. I had so many great experiences skiing all over the world and working with people in ski clubs and groups. It was great fun.
Through the years of being in Jacksonville, I've met so many people who reference their earlier ski experiences through the Jacksonville Ski Club, and then I was shocked to learn that you were yet again, you know, the founder of something else that is very key to people's consciousness here.
Yeah, it's still there, it's still functioning.
Is it?
Yeah, and you know, not as important as it used to be, because skiing used to be a more risky, more how do I say it? People were nervous about going on ski trips unless they were going with a group. So it was a very good business because we did lots of groups. And today, with the internet and what have you, people are more willing to travel independently, and skiing's become much safer and what have you. So anyway, I sold the business 12 years ago or so, and been happy to have time to do the things I've wanted and needed to do in life. So I'm a happy guy.
You are a happy guy, and you emanate that. So as a Riverside resident for a long time, I enjoyed the Riverside Arts Market, and then learned that you were one of the founders of the Riverside Arts Market. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came to be?
Really, all credit goes to Wayne Wood. He's the guy that had the idea for it, and who brought the political structure into supporting the concept. I was just the guy that chaired the operational group that made it a functioning operation, and I'm very proud of that. It's been a big success, and I'm happy to have been involved in it.
They seem to be doing something across the road from that. Are they building an extension?
Well, the Foot of Warren is being expanded by one more lane for vehicles, and also a bicycle and pedestrian lane as well. And that construction will take away a piece of the arts market. So FDOT is developing the space under the Foot of Warren on the west side of Riverside Avenue, which will be space available to the market. And eventually the idea is to connect by landscaped, lighted pathways and so forth under that bridge all the way over to Park Street, which will then connect with Riverside Park, and then to extend the river walk down to Memorial Park, and sort of develop a circuitous routing that encompasses the Five Points neighborhood with activity and river access. So in the future, that looks to be a great plan.
Magnificent, magnificent. Wow, like another version of the green necklace that's always under discussion.
Yeah. So hopefully that will be funded and become reality sometime in the future.
Well, tell us a little bit about Riverside Avondale Preservation, what it is, for those who may not know, and how you were involved.
I served on the board and was an officer for a number of years of RAP, Riverside Avondale Preservation. It's important because it's my neighborhood, and if you value the quality of life where you live, you should contribute to making it a better neighborhood. So I felt compelled to contribute my time to do that. And it's important to preserve the historic character of a neighborhood for many reasons. I mean, it's not only beautiful and interesting, but it's psychologically appealing to connect with your past and your history. We also very much support the tree canopy in our neighborhood. I mean, I can't imagine Riverside Avondale without the gorgeous tree canopy we have. And I'm sorry to say that the state of Florida is trying to pass a bill now that would eliminate the tree amendments in all the cities in Florida.
For development sites.
Right, for developers. I'm hoping that does not come to pass. But anyway, Riverside Avondale Preservation has been a force. It's the largest historic district in the southern United States, and a very successful one. So happy to have been a small contributor to its success.
Now that piece of legislation would enable essentially clear cutting of large forestry.
Correct. Developers would be able to cut any trees, including historic 100-year-old oaks and others. So hopefully that does not pass. We'll be fighting against that.
Well, moving a little bit into what we might call from the historic past to the technological present. For those of us, or among us, who may not know what TEDx is, could you put a context on the TED Talks, TEDx specifically, what TED is an acronym for, and share with the audience how they might plug in to hear some of these marvelous, engaging, intellectual 15-minute sound bites that you have been responsible for delivering to Jacksonville.
Sure. I'm very proud and honored to be a part of the TED program globally. TED was begun in 1984. The original focus was technology, entertainment, and design, hence the acronym TED. The organization was relatively unknown, except to those people that attended the private conference each year, until 2006.
Were those conferences in California? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes, it started in Monterey and then moved to Long Beach, California, and then eventually to Vancouver, Canada. But TED Talks weren't put on the internet for viewing until 2006. And it changed the whole focus of TED from the conference to the conference became the engine providing the talks which went online, but the online presence became so powerful. They're now approaching 2 billion views of TED Talks globally. And so it's one of the most powerful brands in the world today. In 2008 or 9, I think I saw my first TED Talks, became a fan, was going to Grand Rapids, Michigan to attend Art Prize to try and steal some ideas for Jacksonville. And wondered what might be happening with TED. There was an event in Muskegon, Michigan, of all things, and I got a ticket to it, not expecting much. I mean, Muskegon's 100,000 people. It was a depression or deep recession period, very hard times in Michigan, and so it looked like a town that was struggling when my wife and I arrived. I didn't expect much, went to the event, was astonished by the collaboration, the enthusiasm, the openness, and the engagement between all the speakers and the performers and the audience. It was just one of the most inspiring events I'd ever been to, and we ended up spending 2 days in Muskegon and spent time with the organizers of that event, and came back from that trip thinking, why aren't we doing that in Jacksonville? And couldn't find anybody who wanted to do it. And like many of the things I've ended up doing, It's not because I'm the best to do it, but because I didn't find anybody else who wanted to do it. So I ended up applying for a license, and to my great astonishment, I got a license, and we began with TEDx Riverside Avondale at Friday Musicale in Riverside.
When was this?
That was in 2012. And TED rules, you can't acquire a license for a major city like Jacksonville unless you've been to a TED conference. So I immediately went to the TED conference in California in 2013, and or actually in 2012, I guess, and was then able to acquire a license for TEDxJacksonville, and we began doing those programs at WWCT Studios. TED is a global nonprofit foundation. Produces the TED conference and 2 or 3 other conferences around the world. And TED established a program in 2009 called TEDx. The X means independently organized. They allowed individuals from anywhere in the world to apply for a license to produce TED events in their local community. That's what I obtained. TED has very strict rules about how these events are produced, and the event speakers must be video recorded, and the video is uploaded on the TED YouTube channel. This allows them to see what we're doing, what we're presenting, and also a survey is sent to all our attendees to ask their opinion of would they recommend this event. I'm happy to say that amongst all the TED events, or TEDx events, and there are over 4,000 of them in the world right now, in 180 countries, there are only about 50 of those 4,000 that have been recognized by TED as a level 2, the highest status you can obtain, and TEDx Jacksonville is one of those. So we're we've done a great job. I say we because it's not me. It is 24 other people in this community who contribute their time throughout the year. Very talented people who do this as volunteers and produce this series of events we do. So it's been exciting, but also great fun, but also a worthwhile thing for the community.
Well, I know that part of keeping vibrant in life is engaging with others and feeling relevant, and tuning into these intellectual sound bites is such a targeted way of feeling relevant, because it's what people are thinking about, what people are talking about. Before I learned about TEDx Jacksonville, I remember seeing a TED Talks about introverts, which I'm not, but I have lots of friends who are, and they felt very underrated. And this woman, whose name escapes me, is an attorney who was an introvert. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, she did a talk called The Power of Introverts.
Yeah. And I've sent it to countless people who just feel so validated by it, and so it's not only interesting, but it's acknowledging. And and how can people participate here if they wanted to watch your talks, attend your audience?
Go to TEDxJacksonville.com, scroll down to the bottom of the first page, enter your email address, and you'll receive notification of our events. All of our events are sold out every year, so in order to attend, you probably want to get on that list so that you get notified. We're about sharing ideas, as you know from having been to our events. We don't have all the answers, but we try and provide ideas that might make life better, more informed, more engaging. We say that our mission is to be a catalyst for positive change, opening minds with inspiring ideas.
Nice. And
that our vision is that Jacksonville is an informed, engaged, and inspired community. So, because we know informed people make better decisions, and informed, engaged, and inspired people make good things happen. So that's what we're about. I think people that have curious minds and are interested in exploring more in life and whatever, you will find these events extremely compelling. We just received the response from the surveys for this year's event, and we had 233 respondents to the surveys, and our NPS survey rate was 85. Now, if you know what the NPS is, but it's an exceptionally difficult thing to reach that highest score. It's one of the highest scores you could possibly get in it. So obviously we made a lot of people happy with the event, and you know, our goal is to keep doing that.
And this was held at?
This was at the Florida Theater.
The beautiful Florida Theater.
Yeah.
Which is an incredible venue. For any of you who have not been there yet, you must go to the Florida Theater. It's very beautiful, and there's a range of performances and activities that go on there thanks to its creative executive director, Numa Cecilin, and this is a wonderful venue for TEDx. I think of TEDx as a great equalizer for this city because it bridges people of varying political beliefs and age groups, and in that sense it's akin to the Rotary Club of Jacksonville, which in a very palpable way does bridge age groups and people of varying political backgrounds in a collegial environment to share ideas and make the world better.
Well, Margie, you know, if you recall, when I was introduced at the Rotary, I said that I'm very pleased to see that Rotary International says it's where friends, neighbors, and problem solvers meet leaders and take action to make permanent change. And I thought, well, that's very similar to what TEDx is doing, so that there's a large commonality and purpose between the two organizations, and both are global in nature, have you know, lots of outreach and positive activity. So the difference is we are, as an all-volunteer organization, we are not a take-action organization because we don't have the capacity. We're presenting the ideas. It's up to the community to decide if those ideas matter and should work and
have
take
traction.
action.
Right.
Rotary has the capacity to take action, so that was one of the appealing things to me about joining Rotary Club of Jacksonville, is that I like to make things happen, and that was a good thing to know.
You know, one of the questions I've asked before when I've conducted these interviews, and I want to ask you, is do you think it's ever too early to start giving back to the community? And this is really directed to the Rotaractors, which are our millennial Rotary component, and who are, you know, really driven and gainfully employed, but who are starting out, so therefore don't necessarily have the same means as somebody who is later in their life maybe more able to give back. Do you think it's ever too early to start volunteering and giving back?
Well, it's certainly never too early. You know, I'm in my case, I did not have much time, or didn't take the time. And I felt, in fact, somewhat guilty about that. When I finally sold my business, I was able to, you know, they say you retire in order to do things you always wanted to do. And giving back to the community is one of those things I felt obligated to do and wanted to do. So I really admire the Rotaract members because they are doing something at a younger age, and this will, I think, benefit them in their life and careers as they look back upon it.
I wholeheartedly agree, and I think that we mean the rest of us who are not Rotaractors, are the direct recipients of their goodwill to make our world better.
Sure.
Doug, are there other projects that you are involved in? I know that your wonderful wife Mary is deeply engaged with the Humane Society in Jacksonville. You can tell us a little bit about your family and maybe some of the other projects that your family is putting its imprint on here in town.
Well, I'm happy to say that my son and daughter both live here. Both are gainfully employed, thank you, and have 3 grandchildren. So, and happily, they're all in the Riverside Arts Market neighborhood. So we're lucky in that sense. And,
you did something right.
Yeah.
So many things.
I'm presently. I just ended my service on North Florida Land Trust Board, and we'll put in a brief plug. That's a fabulous organization that has done wonderful things in North Florida. Last year they preserved more than 18,000 acres in North Florida. And considering that our legislature is ignoring Amendment 1 that was passed overwhelmingly by the people of Florida, they're not funding Amendment 1. So North Florida Land Trust is really picking up the ball that the people of the state wanted the state of Florida to be doing. That is providing funding to set aside watershed, animal habitat, water recharge, aquifer recharge areas, parklands and so forth. I mean, what are we going to do 20 years from now if the state of Florida doubles in population? Imagine having no more parkland or animal habitat or what have you than we have today. You know, so that's extremely important work. I just joined the board of Scenic Jacksonville because I think it doesn't have to be ugly, you know?
No, it doesn't.
And so we work towards controlling billboards and supporting the tree canopy in the community and avoiding literature and snipe signs and that sort of thing. So another worthy enterprise. So.
You really do live to the name community activist in such a positive way, because in the context of our world, a community activist can be seen as a troublemaker or a rabble rouser, and sometimes people who are very proud of those titles. But you are a catalyst and an ambassador and a builder, and I can't say enough about the impact that you and the legacy that you've built for our city and continue to build for our city. We're just very lucky to have you. Very.
You know, credit doesn't just go to me. I mean, I'm just one player in those things. You know, but I think it's easy to make the point that you know, I didn't start out wanting to be the leader to do something. Basically, I found things that were worthwhile that nobody was doing and nobody seemed to want to do. That's how I got the job at the Riverside Arts Market. Nobody wanted to do that, and I said, well, somebody's got to do it. And so I would say to young people, you know, don't just assume you're not entitled to be there or you're not capable. It's like Coach said, boldness has magic in it. If you think you can do something, do it. That's
fantastic. You know, Malcolm Gladwell wrote the book The Outlier, and in a way, you're an outlier. You have become an accidental builder. You didn't intend to be a community builder. I'm an
accidental leader. So honestly, I mean, I often say that the TEDxJacksonville team are all smarter, more capable, better educated, and better looking than me. and it's really true. I mean, I'm just honored to work with them, as they're such a talented group. And,
well, Doug Coleman, in closing, is there anything that you would like to add, share with the audience, a bit of wisdom in addition to everything you've shared that we can take with us as we say goodbye to you this afternoon?
I would say that I think Jacksonville is a fabulous city to live in. The phrase I use is good life, great opportunity. And I think we're really at a cusp where, and I've lived here since 1965 and I've seen many points in time where we thought we were about to make a great leap forward. And I think we're at that point again. And I think we always have to remember that let's keep it beautiful, let's keep it, let's do it right, but let's do it.
Thank you, Doug.
Thanks, Margie. Always a pleasure seeing you.
Great. Thank you.